Okay, so where do I go
Hmm.
to see where I'm at?
Okay, so go to base camp to start. Click on that.
Oh, it's working.
Yes, it might. Sometimes it's slow.
Okay.
And for the sake of anyone who might be watching this later, we are trying to, we're looking at how we can see where we're currently at in pathways for folks that have maybe started and set it aside for a while. How can they see where they're at? So this, if you're just checking where you're at, it probably doesn't matter which club you choose.
Oh, okay. So then what do
It's
I
gonna
do
look the
next?
same either way. The club
Okay.
you choose matters when you submit the awards.
Okay. So where do I go?
All right, so it looks like you clicked on one of your clubs. So now we wait for it to load.
Oh, sorry.
And it should pull up the Pathways Basecamp screen. It's working on it. Yep, and then if you click that very first thing that says Paths and Learning Education Transcript, that first big rectangle there, that
Up
will
here,
take you.
that one.
You could do that. There's also the
So
one
there's
that's
another
right
one.
below where it says Welcome to Base Camp.
Oh, here. Okay. There we go.
Yes.
I see it.
And then when that loads, it will show you all of the paths you're currently enrolled in. So if you're working on more than one path, or if there are other side projects like the mentorship program that you're working on, those will all show up.
I don't
And
know
then
why this screen is on here. I don't, that launch a path. I don't know why that popped up.
that is a video that they have embedded in the page that
Oh,
if you were to play it would show you how to do some of what we're already walking through.
access all your paths and learning material.
Yep, that's what you want.
Oh, here it comes.
So now if you scroll down, you'll see what you're in. So we can see that you're doing effective coaching, leadership development, and presentation mastery.
Okay.
So those ones with the stacks of books, those are the different paths.
Okay.
So if you want to see where you're at on one of those specific paths, you can click the open curriculum next to whichever path you're interested in.
I thought I was done with presentation
Well,
mastery.
let's take a look. That's a good one to click on then.
Yeah. It says I haven't completed any.
Well, it says that if you look over on the left, it has the different levels. So it says you've completed one, two, and three. Those have the check marks. And four
Okay.
and five are not complete. So if you want to click on one of the levels that's not complete, you can see what you have to do still. So you may have done these things and just not marked them off. That's certainly possible. So for level four, you can see there's a check mark by the elective project. So you've done your elective project, but it's the system is not aware of you having done managing a difficult audience. So that's
Okay. I'm gonna have to find those features because I did do that. Um, and then where it says level four pending prior training, what
yes.
is that?
Good question. That means that it won't let you mark the level as complete until you've completed all of the requirements in the level. So that managing a difficult audience, once you have marked that as complete, then that status will change and you'll be able to mark level four as complete.
Okay. All right, then I better go pull out my all my old speeches. I did that a long time ago.
Yes, this is a fairly common thing that people forget to go back in and mark things as done, even though they've really done them.
I thought I was done with that whole
I mean,
thing.
you probably are. You just have to go and update your records.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh. Okay. So it's
Um,
like level 4 and level 5.
let's
Yep.
see.
And then the path, yeah, I know I did the path completion. I remember doing that speech. Okay, well, I'll look up
All right.
those. Thank you. I'm gonna now.
Just a quick
How do you get out of that?
thing here about completing. It's when you have to go back after your speech and put in your evaluation, even though it says you're finished, you got to go back into the evaluation, complete the after speech evaluation to get to that point.
Yep.
So sometimes it doesn't show up because we didn't do the evaluation.
Yes, yes, you're
Yeah.
exactly right, Frank. That's pretty common. You have to not just view it, but you have to go and complete that after assessment. That's the key part.
Okay.
All right.
Got it.
Well,
Well, thank you.
this is what we're here for, Evelyn.
Okay.
And if you can find your old records, I mean, you could go in and mark that tonight. You've already got it open. So if you have your records, you can go in and mark it complete tonight.
Wow, because I knew I did it.
Hmm.
It's like I didn't
Yes.
realize
Mhm.
I didn't finish it.
Yeah, that disconnect between what you've done and what's been recorded in the system is extremely common. Well, what other this is kind of open to anything. I saw Frank and Carol join since we started chatting. Did either of you come with specific questions or are you just here to watch?
Uh, if you have slides, of course, there probably isn't with this person. This is more hands-on, right?
Yes, this
Yeah,
is
all right. Well,
there's not a prepared I if we run out of things to talk about, I could go and find slides from some old presentation, but this is more the questions are going to drive
all
what we
right.
look at.
My biggest problem now is I went out to the Club Central. I, like I said, pretty much know what to do in the pathways, but on Club Central now, then I've got to, because there's about 4 or 5 awards that apparently last year's officers didn't put in.
Mm.
And so I've got last year's plus this year's that I want to enter into Club Central.
Yes, that's another common problem that we're hoping, well, we know with the when they're changing they're going to change the system hopefully next year.
Oh,
So it won't be 2 steps. For now it still is.
all
So
right.
yeah, you got to make sure you go into Club Central. Do you already know how to do that, Frank, or is that something you want to walk through right
I've done that in previous years, but now that I've got the post again as a base camp manager, I've got to learn all this stuff over again. So
now? Okay.
figured
Well,
I'd
would
sit here and
you?
watch somebody do it so I could, and if
Yeah.
somebody had slides, I'll be happy to take any slides on it.
Yeah. Well, I can show you where you go to submit an award. I don't have any awards
All
pending,
right.
but I can
I'll accept anything. I'll accept people doing it in front of me and I'll accept
yeah.
me.
So I'll show you. I have logged into Toastmasters,
Mhm.
and this is the screen that comes up. If it doesn't come up, you can click on your name and click My Home, and then that will take you to this same screen. And then if you scroll down a little bit, you should see a thing that says Club Central to take you into Club Central.
Mhm.
And then whichever club, because I know you're in multiple clubs as well, Frank. So whichever club, here I'll do Tech Talkers since Matt is here.
Mhm.
Click on whichever club you want to submit the award for, and then submit education awards. Right
How
there
do
at
you
the top.
tell if there's one queued up for you? Do you just get an email or how do you tell?
That's a great question. So you get an email when they submit it in Basecamp, in the system that Evelyn was in before, where she needs to get her records up to date. So when she gets her records up to date and she gets it all submitted, then an email will go out saying, "Hey, Evelyn has submitted this in Basecamp," and then the officer who has access to Basecamp can go in and approve it in Basecamp, and then they should also
And,
go in and submit it in Club Central.
and
I
an award happens when you finish a level or a path.
When you finish a level, you get an award. Yep. So like, for example, if I select you, Matt, I'm not going to submit this yet because I know you haven't done it, but it will give me the option to do your presentation mastery level 5. I know that's that one where you're working on your longer speech to complete your level 5.
Well, I think maybe for visionary communication, I might have completed a level.
Well, we can
I
go
don't
and check.
know.
So maybe that's a good segue. Because right now when you go into Club Central, something I've discovered is it shows you all of the next awards that the member might be eligible for.
Yeah,
But
I've not completed a level, so
okay,
sorry.
yeah. So it doesn't actually tell you which one they've actually completed. For that, you have to go into Basecamp. But like in
And
Frank's case, if he knows that a member of his club has completed it and it just didn't, the paperwork didn't get filed, this is where he'd go to file that paperwork to make it official. So in your case, Matt, say we're not sure if you've completed level 1, let's suppose. So if I wanted to look that up, I'm a president of Tech Talkers, so that gives me access to Basecamp Manager. As a president, a vice president education, or a secretary, you have access to Basecamp Manager. So that's where you can go and look up where other people are at. So I could go here to Tech Talkers and see exactly what you have marked off for that path. So I can go to here. I think the best way to do it is to click on this little person icon up here. That's the universal profile. That takes me to all the information about my club. And then view team. The wording is weird, but the team is your club members. So if you click on the little person because you want to see the people, and then you click on view team, then I can see individuals' progress. So I can click on Matt Payne. There we go. And then I can go to your paths and learning. So now I can see, we saw this on Evelyn's screen. She was viewing it for herself. Because I am a president, I have access to Basecamp Manager, and I can view your progress, Matt. So visionary communication, I can click open curriculum, just like we did for Evelyn. And I can see, sure enough, like you just said, you've completed 2 of the projects for level 1, but you still have the vocal variety and body language and the evaluation and feedback. So I know from looking at this that I should not be submitting your level 1 because you haven't done the work yet.
and it says 5 required, but you get the last one for free when you do the first 4.
Correct. That is also confusing and a very good observation. It counts the completion as an item, even though the completion is really just you click some buttons after you've done everything else.
And a lot of the paths have duplicate speeches, like the icebreaker is in a lot of paths.
So level 1 is exactly the same for every path because those are they're fundamentals that everyone needs, and they're also very flexible projects. So with your icebreaker, there are many options for what you talk about. Even if you choose to just talk about yourself, there's many different aspects. And it's kind of neat that because you can see how you've changed and how you give your icebreaker over time.
So that leads to my question. It is correct that you should do these every single path and
Yes.
maybe try to do them in a different way each time.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. I know some people, like for example, your visionary communication, some people might try to do their icebreaker in light of their goal of becoming a visionary communicator. So they might, in their icebreaker, talk about something about their vision for the future or something about why they chose the visionary communication path. Like some people do it that way. I tend to just find a completely different approach to the icebreaker each time. Like I've talked about characters that I play in my role-playing game. I've given an icebreaker as a character instead of as myself, just because I thought that was fun and that was a unique challenge. So however you want to do it, but that is the right way to do it is to take a different spin on that icebreaker each time and see how you can apply the skills that you've learned since the last time you gave the icebreaker.
Okay, so as people do each project in a level, they mark it as complete. When they're all done, they mark the level as complete. The
Yes.
VP of Education and or president get an email,
Yes.
and then they go to Club Central and say, here's your award for completing the level.
Almost. They go to base camp to mark it off, and then they go to Club Central. That's that two-step process that annoys everybody. That they're going to get it down to one step, but right now it's still you still have to mark it off in two places.
That's fine. That's fine.
Well, and you're definitely not alone in having these questions. We hear
Yeah.
these questions frequently, and every time there's somebody who's new to that officer role, they have the same questions and the same confusions.
Yeah. So I'm thinking when you do the base camp, that's if you're an officer, right? That's not what I'm doing right now. I don't need to go to, I mean, you know what I mean? Submit the education award.
You
That is
submit
only
it.
if you are an officer for that one,
You
right?
will submit it. You will mark this. You will mark the part that says I've done it. But an officer will go and approve it.
Right, but I don't go into what you just did. You remember you were in this part that said submit education for Frank, and you
Correct.
said I'm not going to do that because I know he didn't do it.
Correct. Yes,
That's
an
only for
officer.
an officer,
Yep.
right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember I did that before, but I was like, I think that's not for me now, though.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
got it.
The members say that they've completed the level.
Mhm,
Officers certify that they've completed the level and submit the
mhm.
award.
Okay.
Oh, I saw Carol's hand first. Let's go with Carol.
Jessica, I had a couple of questions. One is, so are you planning on doing this office hours regularly, or are you going to do it like every once a month, or?
We were thinking once a month, at
Okay.
least until people stop showing up.
Okay, I know we had done our pathway training Monday night at our meeting. And here's an issue that we're having. We have a member who doesn't really have a laptop, but we made him an email address so that he could get in and, you know, get the stuff from whoever wanted to get him in there. He's done speeches, but he hasn't actively went in and did anything in pathways for over a year. We tried to get him in, and then it made him change his password. We got through the whole thing, and then it says that they're not gonna, you know, allow him in because something went wrong. There was an error. And I tried to get a hold of headquarters, and, you know, you're on hold for a long time. I just wondered if you have had that same situation, because I thought, okay, maybe if we went back and changed his email address, stuck it onto the roster, you know, of a new email address, and went from there, if it would accept him. But I just was going to ask you if you had that.
I haven't had that exact problem. I've definitely had temporary issues where something on the website will go wrong, and then I try the next day and it's fine. So those are more the kinds of issues I've seen. But we have several people here, several others. Has anyone else had those problems with logging in where it won't let you access things? And did you do anything to fix it other than just waiting? You just waited.
I just wait. I also complain a lot, but I'm trying to give that up.
Yeah, I waited, I complained, waited. I've had that issue, Carol, and what I had to do, because it was last year, I could not get into Toastmasters International. It kept telling me that I needed to have a password. Well, I had a password. So what I did after talking to one of the workers who was just as confused as I was, I just went back and I changed my password. And I let the computer give me that password. And that's what I'm using today. I just saved it on my computer. I don't even know what it is because it's like 16 or 18 digits. It's crazy. So I just saved it. That was the only way I could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frank?
Yeah, I had a similar problem, but I didn't keep the password they gave me. After they gave me a password that worked, I changed it. So you can change it back.
Well, hopefully that will help. I try again, try resetting the password again. Maybe Keith has some other thoughts.
Well, so I had been using my Toastmasters number for decades to get into the place. And when they stopped that and you had to use your email address. I had not been in for probably a couple months. And so I went back in the other day and my password didn't work at all. So I had to reset my password. So this is something that's happening to everybody apparently, I was surprised that it happened to me, that I had to go in, reset my password, give it a new password and start over. So the email address was right and everything, but I was like, oh, why isn't my password working? And I don't know whether they've reset things or what, but
Yeah, they did.
just be aware you have to do that once in a while.
Yeah, that's now that you say that, I do remember that happening to me too several months ago. That I don't remember the details, but I definitely had to change my password to be able to log in. Frank, what's up?
Okay, I think I'm going back to something you had said before about going out and checking the base camp to make sure that they had completed everything in base camp.
Mm-hmm.
But I always go back to either the reports for the club and make sure that they get, especially if I'm doing the education, vice president of education. If I'm the president and I have to do vice president of education, you can look and see what speeches they gave by doing a report. Or in my case, I always save a copy of my evaluations, whether it's hard copy or not, so that if they question whether I actually completed it or not, even though it said in Basecamp I did, and it says in the report I did, that should be enough. But if that's not enough, then I have copies of the evaluations of the speeches I gave
Right.
for whoever's going to approve it.
So I went and back in Basecamp Manager where I was looking up Matt, I actually have not looked at this standard reports tab before. I noticed there's this, I've seen the dashboards, but I'm not familiar with this standard reports. So it looks like there's a training status summary. Well, I don't know how that works. That might
Well,
be
I
something
use the
for me to
report that's
research.
in, we have for our club, I use our club's site report.
Oh, like the Free Toast Host site?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's good, Frank. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. That's another
Then I
place
can
you
see
could
when
go.
it was given.
Yep. Yep,
Yeah.
I do that too. Here I can show, I think my Rail Talkers Club has better statistics. That's an excellent point. So this is my Rail Talkers Club, and I can log in here and see the reports that
And
Frank
you can
was
just put
talking
in the
about.
name of the person you were looking at in Basecamp and see
Yep.
if they're in there.
I switched to a different club because I think this club has
Oh,
better
okay.
records. But yeah, if you have a Free Toast Host site and you click on meeting agendas, there is a little meeting reports button. It's a person again. Always look for the person. And so
Yeah.
then you can say member speech report and you can choose who you want to see. So here, Ann Gentle has lots of speeches. I don't know if she has as many this year, but let's find out. So I can see what speeches she's given this Toastmasters year. The more useful report, again, clicking on the person on the agenda, is if you select all, then you can see all of the speeches. that they've ever given. And what I will do is if I know, for example, they're working on presentation mastery, I'll just do Control F to find and type presentation mastery.
Mhm.
Then I can see all of the presentation mastery speeches that Anne has given and make sure that she has done what she said she was going to do. And this is actually very relevant because I just signed off a level 5 for Anne. So I did go and look and make sure that she had those level 5 speeches. So this is contingent on you using Free Toast Host and actually documenting what you did. But you're right, Frank. That is another wonderful way to track the member progress and know if they've actually completed the assignments and know that you can safely submit the award for them. Good point.
I didn't even know that was out there. Can any club member look at that? I mean, like, if I'm not a VPE, can I look at what you just did for my own self?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's even better. I don't have to go digging. I can just go to that thing.
Yes. Again, as long as you put your details in Free Toast Host,
Oh, I do when I do
then you're good.
speeches
You're
out
good,
there.
Evelyn.
Wow. But I'm gonna take my hand down because that answers my, that's probably how Toastmasters knows I've done it, right? Or no?
No, they're not linked to the Free Toast Host site. They're
Well, how do they know I did it when I haven't done, you know, if I haven't asked to give myself credit?
They don't. That's why it was marked as not complete.
Oh, there you go.
All right, I see Cynthia. You'll have to unmute, Cynthia.
Hi. Okay, I am the base camp manager of Why Not Speak, and I'm in Pathways. I was looking for Evelyn's information, and it isn't even showing me as Why Not Speak's base camp manager. It isn't showing base camp manager.
When I have seen that happen, this did happen to me recently.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
not listed as that club officer position that I thought I was listed as. So for example, in the Real Talkers Club, our VPE had to resign partway through the year and I became VPE, but we forgot to update the records. So the first thing I would check, Cynthia, is to make sure that you are actually listed in the president, VPE, or secretary role. Have you confirmed that in Club?
I am looking at, let's see, where am I at here? I'm under base camp profile, and the base camp profile.
I would look at toastmasters.org first.
Okay.
Yeah, go to our roster and see how it has you down too.
Yeah, here, I'll share my screen for the sake of everyone.
Well, that explains why you don't see me.
So
Yeah.
again, if you go to my home, if you are an officer, you will see Club Central, and you can click on that. And then
Okay.
if you click on the, where is it? Club Officer Assignment. This is the first place I would look, simply because this was what happened to me recently. I would click here and make sure that you really are listed in that role.
I better be.
I mean, I would hope so, but stranger things have happened.
Since they've redone stuff, it's like a needle in a haystack.
Right. Yeah, so that's the first thing I would check. And then if you are listed as the president, vice president, education, or secretary, then you can go back to my home, click on go to Basecamp, and then down here where it says select the club you would like to interact with as Basecamp manager. If your club should be listed there, where you're Basecamp manager, and if it's not, my solution would be to call World Headquarters and tell them that something is wrong.
Okay.
Because the only time it's not shown up for me is when I was not actually listed as the officer I thought that I was listed as. I don't know, has anyone else had that where it just doesn't show up for you, even though you're a base camp manager?
This is the first time that's ever happened to me, so I'm not for sure exactly what's going on.
I mean, you could try logging out and logging back in again, as we were just discussing. I know. Sometimes things go wrong.
Okay, well, I will try it. And if not, we'll start all over again tomorrow morning.
Yes, good luck.
Mhm,
Oh, thank you. That sounded so confident.
mhm.
I mean, honestly, things often that are going wrong seem to resolve themselves if you just wait and try again, but there are sometimes issues that I have found you have to call about.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Did you have another question, Frank? You had your hand up and then you
Yeah,
lowered it.
can you go back to the Club Central you had up there?
Yes,
All right.
it's working on it. All right, so back to Club Central.
Right. This is where my questions are coming from because, okay, so if you go to club awards is what I'm looking for.
The Submit Educational Awards or something else?
Yeah, that's to submit it. I'm looking for in the history and stuff like that.
Oh,
They,
I got you. Yes, that I believe is in the administrative reports.
oh, okay.
If I'm
Yeah,
understanding you. I
yeah,
know.
I've gone out there.
Then you can see past and present education awards.
Right, that's what I'm after.
Yep, that's it. It's under administrative reports.
All right.
Yep.
Now, this is where I was looking because in one club, I saw my Pathways awards, and in the other club, I didn't see any, and that's the one I'm working on.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm
If you're
looking
in
here. Do you have a person that recently did any? Haven't put anything in for 24 yet, then. Okay.
for this club, let's see. Well, I can sort in reverse order.
I'm looking for Pathway Awards here, and I'm not seeing any.
Yeah, it
That's what
looks
I
like
found in one of my clubs. Another one had, oh, there you go, Presentation Mastery.
well,
Okay.
I can switch to I'll switch to Rail Talkers
Right.
because I know we have had some recent awards.
Yeah. So the club I'm a base camp manager for doesn't have any of those listed, although we have a few. Okay.
Yeah, so that's an indication that they need to be submitted in Club Central if they're not listed here.
So
So
I'm going to have to go back over the years and try to find in base camp what we did over the years and get them into this administrative report is what I'm thinking.
yep.
And of course, because they're in previous years, they won't count this year.
Well, I think someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that they count for whichever year you submit them.
Yeah,
So
but I mean, like they were earned in Toastmaster year 22, 23. If I get them in here, they should show up in here, but they wouldn't count for the awards awarded this year. So because
I
they were,
think they will. I think they will account for the awards awarded this year. I think that it counts it for whichever year you submitted in. It's not the
oh,
year
that would
that
be
you submitted.
nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
We
that's
may
how it
actually
works.
get 3 new members this year.
Yeah,
That would be
Keith is
nice.
nodding. So Keith
Going
agrees.
back, I could get a few points that way.
Yeah, no, you will. It'll count for whichever year you submit them. Yep.
You just have to make sure that you're doing it in the right way and that you talk to the people that you're giving them credit for to make sure that that is all in the up and up.
Well, they earned them and they got credit in the base camp in previous years, but nobody ever put them into the Club Central.
Yes, that has happened to me. I think last year, I discovered a member who had submitted an award back in 2020 that never got submitted in Club Central. So that is another problem is forgetting to do that second step, but you should get credit for this year when you submit them in Club Central. Whenever you submit them in Club Central is when it counts for the credit in the Distinguished Club program.
Okay.
And then Frank had also mentioned slides and other information. So I did want to show our district website because there is some documentation out here.
Ah,
Not sure how up to date it's been kept, but if you go to d24tm.org and click on public downloads, there is a pathways folder out here, pathways help. So there are some guides out here. If you do look at these and anything seems out of date or not useful, I would encourage you to let me or a member of the trio know so that we can remove it. But there are a number of guides out here in Pathways Help. And then there's also a Pathways Track Your Progress. If you're the type that likes spreadsheets, it's another option for how you can keep track of your progress in the path. So don't forget to check our website, d24tm.org, public downloads, for some information that might help you as well. And that's where I think you can find some of those slide decks, Frank. You can find those out here.
Mhm.
All right, what else?
Let's
Other
see.
questions? Matt, did we really use up all your questions? You don't have more?
No, for me, I just got to do the work, and then I might still have more questions, but at least I know where I need to go to get myself fixed up, you know. I had no idea all those things were out there.
Yes, that's very common. It's very common to forget to mark things off in the system. It's very common for officers to sign things off in base camp and not in Club Central. We are not alone in having these struggles. And I'm cautiously optimistic that it will be much better when they roll out the new platform next year.
So is it improper or acceptable for, say, a vice president of education to say to a member, hey, Evelyn, would you like me to think of you when I get ready for a meeting? And every time I get ready for a meeting, say 2 or 3 days before the meeting, I think, well, who did what last time? Evelyn gave a speech last time. I'm going to go look in Club Central because Evelyn's asked me to be, helpful and see if she's marked off the speech that I knew she did last time. And if she hasn't, then I'm going to send a gentle reminder. And so as vice president of education, I could poll the members, and Evelyn might say, yes, I want you to sort of check on me. And Frank might be like, buzz off. I hate pathways and I never want to do it. And Carol, if I go to Carol, I say, that was an amazing speech you gave. That matches with a thing in pathways. Would you like me to help you? Is that kind of pushiness too pushy or okay because people can opt out?
Right. I think that's great. I mean, that sounds fantastic to me. And another tip that I have received that I haven't fully enacted yet is if you are a club that meets in person, you could even bring your laptop to the meeting and offer to help someone like right there after the meeting. Hey, Evelyn, I know you completed this, but it's not showing as marked off. Do you want to log on right now on my laptop and mark it off? Like that's or even if you are an online club, you could do the screen share like we did tonight, if that would help your members. It's kind of like you said, it's up to the members. Offering that service to them and giving them the option of how they want to take advantage of it, I think is perfect.
Okay, thank you very much. It's good. And it'll help me learn pathways, which is a good investment. So.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think if we get in the habit of doing that every time you have a meeting, then that will, make it easier for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I won't look at it like you're bugging me. I want to be looking at it like, oh yeah, you're right. I didn't do that.
I used to be in a club called Reveliers, and at Reveliers there's the secretary, and the secretary takes notes about who gives what speech in a big thick notebook. And one of the things about the culture of Reveliers is not very many people do pathways, as far as I know. And I think that you could mine that book and really complete a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, absolutely. Especially with the level 1, the projects are so general that pretty much any speech you give could work for any of the level 1 projects. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Matt. That is certainly something that could happen if somebody took the initiative to make it happen. And it's interesting you mentioned that the secretary keeps those notes too, because the secretary is the third person that is a base camp manager. So Toastmasters has kind of acknowledged that fact that maybe the secretary is the one that has all these records.
The VPE, president, and secretary. are the
Secretary.
notes?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm out of questions for now. Sorry to
No, that's fine. This time is for whatever people want to ask or do or look at. And if we're done early, that's also totally fine.
Well, you answered my questions. I thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one question, Jessica. It's not about pathways, but our club meets in person. And I've been trying to get them to do the free host toast.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, they're still fighting against it. They do their own agenda, and type everything out and all that. Do you have like some training or something for how to do free host toast?
That's a great question. I know we have done training before, and I think it's on our YouTube channel.
Okay.
Frank has some training that I saw once. It was amazing. I remember that, Frank. I visited your club. Am I dreaming? Was that you, Frank?
I have all kinds of stuff, but I copied it from other people and then
Probably Frank.
followed it and put my own slides for my club in it and gave speeches and got credit for them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go out to the D24 website and find something out there, you can adapt it for your club and give the speech and get credit.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, so if you you search YouTube for District 24 Toastmasters, and then it looks like you can search. Well, here, let's start over from YouTube. Make sure we know how to get there. YouTube, search District 24 Toastmasters, and I would bet Toastmasters International or some other districts also have this content out there. District 24 Toastmasters, and then click this little search, free toast. Hit enter. So here are the videos we have on free toast. Agenda templates, creating a new agenda, accessing older agendas, and then the thing we just saw tonight, the reports of speeches. So that's what we have. And I know, I'm pretty sure Matt does this. If you just Google Toastmasters free toast host, I'll bet you'll find lots of guides and content that way too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
And I just like to inject here, if I may, that the way that they're doing it, whether they're using Google Docs or whatever they may be using, is so much simpler with the program that we use. Because all you have to do is put the person's name, and I know you know this, Carol, put the person's name in and what they've done, and it pulls all up. You don't have to go, okay, was she here this day? Was she here that day? Especially if it's done right.
I'll be rooting for you, Carol, because in the beginning, I think it was Cynthia, she was pushing for our club to do free toast hosts. And I was like, no, I didn't do it. I don't want to do it. So we were doing our own typed agendas. But then once I embraced it, which it was some years, but once I did, I don't even know why I couldn't get it the first time she asked about it, because it is a lot easier.
I think it just takes time to adjust. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm in 3 different clubs that I would say all use it differently. Like in Rail Talkers, it is the way that we sign up for roles. In Tech Talkers, we just have a scheduled. Matt has done a wonderful job making a scheduled like spreadsheet that just your speaker this week, then your Toastmaster this week, then your evaluator, which works really well when most people participate regularly, which we do have. And then in my other club, Club 229, we sign up for roles at the end of each meeting, and we're trying to use Free Toast Host, but we are not doing a fantastic job. Sometimes people will sign up for a role in advance on Free Toast Host, and then when we get to the end of the meeting to go over roles, we forget to check to see who already signed up. And then when we do go through the roles, we forget to go put them into Free Toast Host. My solution is to again just get out a laptop and put in the roles into Free Toast Host as we're figuring them out. That's what I did this past Monday. So that's I don't know how your club currently does the role. It sounds like you have some other process for doing role signups, but like in that club, in Club 229, where we spend the last like 5 minutes of the meeting figuring out the roles for next time. I've started just pulling up Free Toast Host and filling the names in as they volunteer for the roles. But I think it takes getting used to, I think, is mostly what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And what I end up telling people is, for those that are like, well, I don't know if I'm gonna be here next week. That's okay. If you're not here, just go in and take your name off.
Yep. Yes, Frank.
All right. I wanted to thank you for everything. I'm going to leave you now, and I appreciate all that you've done. Thank you.
Bet. You're welcome. Have a good evening.
Take care.
All right. Anything else? That sort of tangent on Free Toast Toast was wonderful. So anything else in that vein is fair game.
Well, this is really a tangent. I saw that DTM file in your downloads when you were going over it. So I'm looking at it. Is there a list of DTM projects that people in District 24 has done? Like in any given year, can you look up like the abstract, the high level description, of what the
That's a
project was?
wonderful question.
And
That's actually a really interesting idea, Matt. Ironically, coming up with a way to track DTM projects that people have done could potentially in itself become a DTM project.
okay. So and then the next question is a DTM project, is it kind of like a thesis where first you make a thesis proposal first you find a committee, then you make a thesis proposal to your committee, gets adjusted, it gets approved, then you do the thesis, then you defend the thesis by presenting what happened and answering questions. Is that kind of how it works?
It's similar. I would say there's less of the approval and more of the just doing, but you
Okay.
have a committee.
Okay.
You give your proposal at the beginning, like you say what you're going to do. You have a number of committee meetings throughout the process, and then you give a speech at the end that says what you did and what was successful and what could have been done better. So there's not like, you can't really fail at your DTM project the way you could fail at your thesis project.
Okay.
Some of those concepts are definitely the same.
Okay. So, and you get a committee by just asking the trio or
I just ask club members
just
or like,
ask
or whatever Toastmasters and other people. I don't remember what the requirement is for you can have non-Toastmasters on your committee, but you need a certain number of people who are Toastmasters. I don't remember those exact rules.
No
In
worries.
my case, it wasn't really relevant because my DTM project was to organize the district conference. So everyone involved was a Toastmaster already.
Wow.
Yes,
That's
and you need like 2 or 3 Toastmasters, I think, and then you can have other people who aren't Toastmasters on your committee, if I recall correctly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they have to be DTMs?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. No is
It
the
could be
answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, my DTM project was organizing the conference.
Mhm.
I've heard of people doing projects around like establishing some sort of best practices or some way to do something. It could be something unrelated to Toastmasters, like starting something in your workplace, maybe, or some sort of
Mhm.
Well,
you want to
organizing
help
a
your community.
conference sounds both really hard and really straightforward because you just help people for a year or two and then you do it after you've learned the ropes by helping people.
Yeah,
So
I mean
there's
it is a I think you've hit it spot on. It is a well-defined but still a lot of work DTM project.
Mhm. And it
so
takes a while because I did that for my DTM too, Jessica.
very nice. It's a tried and true method. That's nice.
It does work.
Okay.
And for me, I think it helps if you choose, because you have to have two different committees. You have
Oh,
to have your action committee and your planning committee.
okay.
And the action committee were people I knew wanted a DTM.
Mhm.
So they do the work.
Nice. Nice. That's cool. All right. Well, maybe in 2025, I'll be an assistant at organizing to get my feet wet. We'll see.
Yeah, that would be great. And
Yeah,
I don't,
right.
yeah, I'll just mention there are all kinds of subcommittees typically with organizing the annual conference. There's usually a first timers chair who helps with people who have never been to a conference before. There's
Mhm.
someone for the speech contest. There's someone for the speaker outreach, making sure you actually have speakers.
Mhm.
As we get back to more in-person stuff, there may be a hospitality chair who makes sure that it's a pleasant experience for those who attend and maybe organizes food and that kind of thing. So there's lots of different there's lots of opportunities to get involved
Cheers.
either as one of those chairs or as just an assistant helping out with whatever needs to be done.
Mhm.
There's no shortage of opportunities to help with stuff in Toastmasters.
That's
Yeah,
good.
there isn't.
Thanks.
Are you area or division leader right now?
I'm currently an area director.
Well, you can use that as your DTM footwork.
Really? Not according to the flow chart I'm looking at.
Well, I think you need to adapt it because being
Yeah,
an
you'd
area
have to.
director is its
Yeah,
own
I mean,
requirement.
yeah, it
But
is.
if you I would say, this is Jessica's opinion, if you had something that was like above and beyond the core area director responsibility,
Yeah,
that could definitely be a DTM project. But simply being an area
absolutely.
director, like one example I've heard is area directors have to organize a speech contest. So if you
Mhm,
put in extra work of like
mhm.
establishing
Yeah,
best practices and
gotcha.
communicating best practices and had some sort of process document that
Mhm,
you came up with as part of that, like you
mhm.
could turn that into a DTM
Turn
project.
it into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Get a
not in a
group of
huge
people.
hurry. I view Toastmasters as a long-term thing. So,
Oh, that's wonderful.
yeah.